Hi, everybody. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for coming to Professional Beauty's Virtual Beauty Week. And this is our third session for today. So this is with Chris Halpin, who is Professional Beauty's social media editor. Anything you need to know about social, this guy knows it. Today, he's going to be talking about how to measure your metrics and how to build your salon success online. So he's going to be telling you about what to look for in your social media metrics, especially on Instagram and Facebook, and what to do with them to help you generate revenue. So, Chris, I'll let you take it away.
Yes, so fingers crossed, you should now be able to see. I'll just play from start. So yes, hi everybody. Thank you very much for joining me and for being involved with PB Virtual Beauty Week. So this is all about, we're going to do a very quick very quick dive into Google Analytics, Facebook, Instagram Analytics, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff, and what you can look for and what you should be looking for in order to build up your business and see what there is out there and what you should be looking for. So first of all, why should people be using analytics? Now, this might seem like a bit of a simple answer, but actually a lot of people don't really know what they're looking for in terms of their analytics. Very simple to set up, and a lot of them are actually built services. So for example, with Instagram, with Facebook, it's really a couple of clicks away at most with a lot of that. Even if not, you can use things like a lot of the website builders. If you're looking at Google Analytics, all that kind of information, it's very simple to put that in. There's usually an easy setup service, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Analytics is mainly, it's such a great opportunity to understand who your clients are and what they're doing online, but also where you're getting them from. A lot of the analytics tools will actually tell you where they've come from originally, and you can sort of use that to tailor whether or not a campaign you're running is doing well, whether you're getting a lot of SEO traffic, for example, or which social media is working best for you. So there's some really good tools out there, and it's just such an easy way of finding that out without having to do lots of sort of intensive surveys or all that kind of stuff. It's also a really good tool to understand what kind of content is good for your audience. So you can see when they're engaging with your posts and what kind of images or videos, what kind of stuff is working for you there. It's also really good. A lot of them tell you when is a good time to post. And that's mainly what I'm going to be talking about today. That's the key metric that I think is really important to look at. Because I think a lot of people, there is a lot of information out there online that tells you when you should post on social or what kind of content and when that should be going up. A lot of it is stuff that you can learn from your own analytics, and that means that it's personalized to you. And many people probably are already using analytics, and you're probably sat there thinking, well, I check my Instagram analytics every now and again. Honestly, I think that isn't enough. You need to be looking at this on a constant basis. And that's not saying that you need to be glued to it every minute, but have a look at it, at least a couple of times a week. And especially if you're going through a period of growth. And I think right now, obviously, I think a lot of salons are doing more online. Obviously, we're not able to have salons open. So people are starting to look at the digital and what they can do there. Now is a really good time to get on top of analytics. So make certain that you're constantly looking at it. As you're adding more data, those analytics are changing day by day. So keep an eye on that, and let's have a look at some of them now. So let's start off with your Instagram Insights. So Instagram Insights, they're available in the app. All you have to do with that is just go to your menu. So in the top right-hand corner of your Instagram page, that's what it should look like. You'll have all the options. Insights is right there. Now, one thing that you do have to keep in mind with Instagram Insights is that you must have a business profile. That's something that's very simple to do. You just have to go to settings, and then if it's not already a business profile, there will be an option at the bottom, convert to a business profile. So other things that you need to look at, it will tell you information on your reach and impressions for all your posts, your stories, your profile. There's a huge amount of info, but the reason why I've highlighted reach and impressions is I think there's a lot of questions about that, and that people don't really know the ins and outs of what they are. So I thought I would break down a little bit. So reach is the total number of unique people who have seen your content. Impressions is the number of times your content was seen or displayed in someone's feed. So for example, let's say person A, whoever person A may be, they can see your content 3 times in their feed. They will only count 1 person reached, but they will also count as 3 impressions. So you'll usually see that your impressions are higher than reach, but if you're looking for the exact number of people that you have hit with any kind of content or that have seen your profile, that's the one that you want to be looking at. And these are available across pretty much all the platforms that we're going to be talking about today. Twitter doesn't really do reach. Twitter seems to rely more on impressions. So that's something to keep an eye out on, but it's still useful. Obviously, with a Twitter feed, there is so much going on that it is probably actually easier to think about it in terms of impressions. But moving back to Instagram, one thing that you should be looking at is the followers tab. So when you go into your insights, you'll have the whole list of options. One of them is your audience. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll find followers. Now this, for example, tells you when your followers are actively engaged with Instagram. So with this profile that I've pulled out, you can see that the main period from about 12 p.m. onwards, that's when you start to really hit that upwards peak. And then it really hits the top at 9 p.m. on a Saturday. So I guess, previously, I imagine there are a lot of people that, I think we might be having an issue. Is my screen not changing? Sorry, if people aren't able to see this, give me 1 second. I just stopped sharing my screen. Were we having issues with that? Okay, so we are having some issues. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get that fixed. 1 moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go back into the presentation and exit full screen, hopefully. Okay, so I'm just going to see, are people able to see that now? It's changed now to insights. Okay, sorry about that. So I'll just quickly jump back a little bit because I think some of you weren't able to see that. What we will do, I'll put this presentation up online as well. So if you weren't able to see some of the earlier screens, we'll get that sorted. So sorry, this is just your Instagram insights. This is where you are able to see where your business profile is, how to access it, and that's where the insights tab is. So that's where you need to go to follow through all of what I was just talking about if you weren't able to see it before. So sorry about that. Do apologize. We have had a couple of tech issues. We are working through it though, so that is the main thing. This is the information on reach. So as you can see, as I was saying, 1 reach, 3 impressions, that's where you need to look at for that. And that is the same across, as I said, a lot of the social media platforms. So back to insights. So unfortunately, I can't do my fancy little animations I had shown up here. But we now have, these are your stats on a Saturday. You can then compare it to a different day. So for example, on a Thursday, what you would see is actually that gap between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. is slightly different. So there's a much closer period where you say, okay, on a Thursday, it might work to post something in between 6 and 9 p.m. I don't need to wait until that very last moment. Whereas on a Saturday, you might want to aim later. It allows you to vary up when you're posting your content. It means that you're not always churning stuff out at the same time every single day. So that's something that you can look at. You can also, this is a breakdown in terms of hours. You can see the days and you can compare it across the whole week. So if you don't have the capacity to post something every single day, you can see which days are best for you. And then you can then click on that and then go back to see what time on that day is best for you. That's something that is really using that data that is right there, available to you straight away. So do make certain that you have a look at that if you're on Instagram. And then also you can see other things. You can have a look at your reach. You can see what stories are performing best. With all of these, what I will say is we are going to be doing more webinars. So whilst this one is a bit more of a general overall look at analytics, hopefully we will be able to bring some more later on, and I will be doing some, or other people, other digital experts. They will be coming in, talking more about the individual platforms so that you can really see the ins and outs of each one. So that is Instagram, just as one thing to focus on. Now, Twitter, I know a lot of people are a bit negative on Twitter, and I think there has been, generally speaking, a lot of negativity around Twitter. You know, it used to be seen as not very useful, but they have been making a lot of changes, and that is something that they're doing on the back end of the Twitter website. They're trying to make it more user-friendly. So what they've done, they've actually removed some features from Twitter Analytics, but now they've introduced a new service, which is the Twitter Studio, and they're adding new features to that. So whereas before with Twitter Analytics, you used to be able to see a lot more info on your, you know, what kind of other content they were looking at on Twitter, what their interests were. It would even tell you things like who is their mobile network carrier. So there was quite a lot of information there, and I guess they were probably a bit wary that they were sharing too much information. So I think as part of the whole, we're much friendlier now, they've cut some of that back. It's a little less, it wasn't shady in the first place, but you know, it was a bit odd to be sharing that information. They have split that across 2 different platforms. So these are the 2 links that you need to be looking at if you want to have a look at where you're getting your information on Twitter. Analytics.twitter.com gives you all the stats on your top tweets and your engagement rate. So that breaks it down based month by month, or you can look at ones over the last 28 days, 7 days. All that information is there. That was the original platform, and that was where all the sort of audience information was being hosted to begin with. The new one, the Twitter Media Studio, so that has existed for a little while, but they have started adding more and more new features, including when your audience is engaged. Another great new feature that it looks like they're launching with Twitter Studio is the ability to schedule posts on Twitter. So previously, you used to have to use an outside app such as Buffer or Sprout Social or HubSpot. You would have to schedule through that. Twitter are now finally offering that on their platform itself. So do have a look at that. And we're talking about how to keep your audience engaged. This is what it looks like at Twitter Studio. So this is a brand new offering that they put on there, and it tells you when your followers are watching. So it's very similar to what we saw on Instagram, but actually I think Twitter have gone into even more detail, and it's actually better than what Instagram is offering. So you can see, I think this is where Twitter are really trying to catch up and assert themselves back towards the top of the social media chain now. So you can see when over the last month, you can choose a month, you can choose 7 days, you can choose whatever period you want. I would say with anything like this, it is better to look at it over a longer period of time, because it gives you might have a flash in the pan where for some reason you get something that really is exciting on a Tuesday evening that takes off, but that might just be on that one day. It might be that Tuesdays don't work for you generally. So I would always say, have a look at a longer period of time on any kind of analytics software that you can, just to give you a much clearer image so that you're not relying on some slightly skewed data. With this one, what you can see is, for this profile, for example, Thursdays, you have a very narrow window of when you have the highest engagement. So for that, it's between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on a Thursday. On a Sunday, for example, there's a much wider span of when you can post a tweet, so when people are engaging on Twitter. So that's something that you can look at and see, oh, okay, maybe we can put more information in across that. We don't have to rely on, only posting towards the evening. And especially, I think there is a bit of variety that has to be involved in all these things. So don't just think you only can post at these certain times. You are able to, send out a tweet if you want at 12 p.m. on a Thursday. Don't feel tied, especially if you've got something that's breaking or a new launch that you're really excited about. If you want to do an all-day kind of, tweetathon, or you've got an Instagram takeover that you want to do, don't think that you are tied to these numbers. You can experiment and just see what works. But if you're not certain about where to start, these are some of the figures that you can look at that are measurable to your personal platform. And I think there is something really to be said on that. At the top of that page, it does say timing is everything. That I do think is mainly the number one thing to be looking at. you do see a lot of these people online who are offering suggestions about when you should be posting, and they'll give you a very specific time to do that. So it might be post 2:45 p.m. every third Thursday, which doesn't work, because that's just generic. It doesn't relate to what your audience is actually doing. And across analytics, the ability to hone in and personalize what you're offering to your audience is the key thing. Facebook Insights. So moving on to these. Facebook, I would say, offers the most options for analytics and data compared with the other social media platforms, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, any of them. Facebook has so many options. As you can see, they're all down the left-hand side of that image. So you can see things like a general overview. You can see when your likes are coming in. You can see what actions were taken on your page. Were people sharing? Were they liking? You can have a look at individual posts. It's all there, and you can go through each of these. And what I would say is this is the time more than ever to go through and deep dive on each of one of these. So do have a look at your reach and work out, whether you've been succeeding in the first sort of 2 months of 2020 versus the first 2 months of 2019. See where your growth has been. Are you still performing well? Has it gone down? Obviously now is the time to do that, so that when salons are back open, you are able to take advantage of that, and you're really able to see what content has been working and hit people hard with that when we're back open, help generate more business. But also it's useful now just to keep that going up until that point. There is something that you should be aware about, though, with Facebook Insights, and it's something that is a little bit confusing, really. So on this post tab, and it's the same across whether you download data or whether you look at the overview, you'll see that, for example, here, it seems to suggest that at 9 p.m. on that little curve there, that there is barely anybody online who are any of the fans of that page are online. Whereas at 3 a.m., there's 32,000 of them. Now, this is a British page, so it isn't something that is that doesn't make sense. But the insights across Facebook are actually shown in the Pacific time zone, which I believe is where Facebook's headquarters is based. So they've made it so that it's convenient for them. Unfortunately for us Brits, it's not particularly convenient for us, or if you're in Europe generally. So just something to watch out for. Make certain that you're aware of that when you're looking at your data. Don't just think that suddenly you've got to be posting at 3 a.m. or doing a live at 3 a.m. in the morning. You probably won't get that much engagement if you do that. And yeah, you can also see information on videos. You can see the watch length. As I said, we will be going, hopefully in a future webinar, into a much deeper dive into all of these. We'll do them individually, so that'll be something really good. If you do have any questions about each of them as well, I will try and answer as many as we can before the end of this one. But if you do have any questions, I am manning our social media usually, so message the PV account. If you want more information, you can DM us, inbox us. I should be able to answer them as best as I can until we go live with any future webinars. Moving on to Google Analytics. Now, this is the one that I spend most of my day on, honestly. There is so much information on Google Analytics that you can glean from a website, and it's so useful. What you need for Google Analytics to set it up, it is a bit more complex. Oh, sorry, just to mention Facebook Insights, just to go back 1 second. In order to find that, you just go to your Facebook page, and at the top, there's the bar at the top. You just hit more, and then there's insights in there. Again, if you have any issues finding that, let me know, and I can hopefully show you at a later date. Sorry, just thought I would mention that because I'm sure people will be wondering how to find it. Google Analytics. So it requires a Google account and a website, obviously. There is a little bit of fiddling involved in order to get it set up on the website, so it's not as simple as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram where it's just there. Usually there are, with a lot of the website building options, so I know a lot of people have a Wix or a Squarespace website. With these, generally speaking, from what I found, I can't say it for each and every single one of them, but the ones I have used, there will be an option where you can just select and put a tracking code in. So it's very simple. They'll usually talk you through step by step, or if you just Google sort of your website builder and Google Analytics setup, it will usually come up there. If you're not able to do that, if you've got your own website, you've built it from scratch, you've got a web developer, Google Analytics does give you some pretty easy instructions. All it is, it's just a bit of tracking code that you put in the header of your website. So that information is there, and then it just runs in the background. So nobody, if you've set up for GDPR and you've got cookies enabled and people accept that cookie, that's it. That's all it needs to do. It doesn't pop up and tell them, we're watching you on Google Analytics. It's all there, and it just immediately unlocks all the data that you need about a person. So it will tell you how they came onto your website. It will give you stats about, what pages have people visited. You can see flows that go through and tell you they started on the home page, they went to this next page, that's when they dropped off. You can check your bounce rate. You can check all that information, and you can do it in real time. That's the beauty of Google Analytics. Whereas with things like Twitter Studio or Facebook, that generally tends to be a bit of a delay to get that. If you post something on your website and you've got a new offer that you've put on your website and you've linked to it through your social media and you've put maybe a Google advert out, you can go onto Google Analytics and you can see real time whether or not that is working for you and where that traffic is coming. And obviously you can look back in the past. So if you've had it running for 3 years on your website, for example, you can compare what you've done over the last 365 days to the 365 before that. It's completely up to you how you want to use it. But there's so much information there. And then what I thought I would show, the one that is the one that I use the most. Oh, I think I may have frozen. Sorry, there we go. Back to, this is where your audience is. So these are the traffic sources that come through to Google Analytics, and this is what you need to be looking at to see what is working and what isn't. So for this website, organic search is the number one. Organic search is your SEO. So that means that you've set your website up correctly to be hitting the Google search, to be hitting Bing, to be hitting any other web browsers that I can't think of any other names at the moment. But obviously Google is the main one. Organic search, what it used to do was that it would tell you exactly what keywords people were typing in. A while back, Google changed that. It just kind of tells you what platform they came from now. I am aware, unfortunately, because we weren't able to make it full screen, that the size of these might not be that big. But like I said, again, we will try and get this out on some kind of platform so that you can read. Or if you want the slides, please do DM us or message us and we'll get that sent over to you. So that's organic search. Email, that means that you're doing an email campaign. People are clicking through to your website to see how they're, what links they're going to, what landing pages. Social, pretty obvious social media. You can see which one is working best through that. Referral. Now, this one is a bit of a tricky one. Referral means that if your link is put on another person's website, so if you are, let's say I was hosting a website and I told somebody, go to Spotify, listen to this album. If Spotify had analytics set up on their website, they would see that was referred by my website. Similarly, you can see, if you've got a really good article that lots of other beauty salons have shared, you'll be able to see which one is giving you the most traffic. And I think referral traffic is something people don't look at enough. One thing about that is that you can really start to foster relationships with other websites through that. So you can say, you've shared that. Would you be interested in going and looking at this other piece of content? Would you share my other piece of content? Keep on talking to these people, reach out to them. It can be quite mutually beneficial if you do that. Direct traffic, that's number 5. That is where people have directly typed in your link. So usually that will be through to your homepage. They'll just type in, for example, for professional beauty, they would just do professionalbeauty.co.uk and that would turn into a direct link. If it was Forest's website, they would type in Forest. If it was Salon Services, Elemis, the list goes on. Other traffic is a bit of a tricky one. Other traffic tends to be something that Google can't classify. It doesn't seem to understand where it came from. It can also be if you've put too many tracking links into your link, though. So usually that will happen with people where they've put a link somewhere. They want to see whether or not it got that kind of it got traction. So you might. It's a bit hard to explain. Sorry about that. It's just a bit of a tricky one. So have a look at that. You usually won't get a lot of traffic from other. It will usually be very minimal numbers. I have seen a few times where social media sometimes falls into other, though. So it might be that your social isn't set up correctly. Have a look at that. Just see if you do have Google Analytics, whether or not that's working. And the final two are paid search and display. So if you've got Google AdWords set up, if you're searching for keywords, if you're doing search keywords, which is when you see the ads at the top of a Google search, that's what that is. A display, that tends to be the images that you see at the side of a news website. So you usually see that on things like the Daily Mail or the Sun or the Mirror. They'll usually have some kind of display adverts. It tends to be through Google, but if they were getting traffic from that, it would appear at the bottom there. So, like I said, I'll be going through each of these at a later date. I do apologise that the screen size has been a bit of a faff throughout this. But if you do have any questions, I know that we do have some in the chat, I believe. But otherwise, thank you very much for dealing with the screen size and the issue. I hope you learned something at least for this. And like I said, we will be going through each of them a bit closer in the future. And any questions, do let me know through the Professional Beauty social accounts if you don't want to ask them now. But thank you.
Chris, so that's brilliant. Thank you so much. It was such a brilliant and insightful talk. And I think we've had tons of questions come through from beauty business owners who are looking for your help and advice. So I might just start running through if that's okay. Amanda Lee has asked, can you recommend a social media content planner?
So I would say Buffer is a great one. It's the one that I personally use for my social medias. It's really, really handy. It breaks down everything sort of app by app, and you can see when everything is scheduled. It gives you suggested times as well. So do have a look at that. You can pay even more with Buffer. They do have a free plan. You can do a paid plan, which actually gives you analytics on there. So anything you share through Buffer, it will then give you analytics on that. So that's another little handy tool. But other ones that I know are highly recommended, HubSpot and Sprout Social, they're the three that I know a lot of people do use.
And Amy Sav has asked, how do we get to see all these analytics? So I think there's a couple of people asking where you were finding the Instagram analytics and where you were finding the Facebook analytics. Okie
doke. So with Instagram, if you go to your Instagram profile, what I will do, at the top of any page, you'll have, I don't know whether you'll be able to see my phone screen. I was going to try and show it that way, but at the top of your profile page, there's the 3 bars that appear. If you tap that, that'll bring up the menu. So it'll have your settings, archive. One of those is insights. If you tap that, that should bring up. The only thing people need to be aware of, you do need a business profile for that. So if you don't have a business profile, go into your settings and then set them up that way. With Facebook, it's very much the same thing. You go to your business page. At the top, you'll have your inbox, your page, messages, all that kind of stuff. At the top, there's also a button. It should say more, or it might say insights if it's just automatically there on your page. If you click that, if you click the more, there'll be an insights button there. So have a look there. Hopefully, if you do have any other issues, like I said, do DM us or let us know, and I might be able to show us some screenshots then.
We have a question from Chloe who has asked, do you think the peak times for our clients to be on social media will change during the current coronavirus situation with more people being at home?
Definitely. I think that is something, like I said, it's why you need to be checking it constantly. I think people do look at it and then just assume that that's going to be consistent. Right now is the time that you need to be looking at it more than ever, because there are going to be people online at times of the day. Those numbers are going to go up and down, up and down. So do keep checking them, particularly Instagram. It's a nice visual one, I think, that one. So do have a look at that. And yeah, like I said, the only thing to be aware of with Facebook, it does show them in Pacific time for whatever reason.
I have a question for you as well, Chris.
Okay.
What type of content do you think would work for beauty businesses to post at the moment to boost engagement? Like, should they be using the tools like the polls and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So particularly with Instagram, anything that you can do that's interactive, especially if you're doing them in your stories, that's really good because it automatically gets that engagement up. It sees that people are using them. So it will start recommending your story higher up the order. It's all playing the algorithms. I know a lot of people have been doing video. I mean, we're doing our virtual week. I know a lot of people are doing live video. It's the one thing that I always say, if you've been to any of my talks at a PB show before, just bite the bullet and do some video. It's honestly a lot more enjoyable than some people think. I think a lot of people get nervous with it. But give it a go, because it is the one that you get the most engagement with. And just play around. I think right now you can be a bit funny. You can have a little bit of humor in there, because I think that's what people want. And I think it's really important to just try something new and give it a go, because there's, like we said, a lot of people now are going to be at home, so they're going to be on social a lot more. I know I have been, so.
We have a question from a viewer called Anastasia Jolly, and she said that she's opening a new wellness and beauty day spa in September, but she's asking what's the best way to get people interacting and getting in front of clients at the moment, given the current situation.
Yeah, so obviously you won't probably be able to show off. If you've got images or like a concept art of your salon, show off some of that, of the spa, sorry. Show some of that. Anything visual right now, I think, is really good. So trying to share what you can, people for their opinion on things. You can do polls where you say, what kind of color concepts would you like? Anything like that. Because again, people will start sharing it. If you can do offers, encouraging people to book in advance for when the spa is open, that's something that will be really good, and get people to share. The share button on Facebook is such a great tool, because it just exponentially increases the reach of any post. So more people are going to be seeing it. So have a look at things like that. And again, video, that's all I can really say. If you are confident, comfortable in doing video, or want to give it a go, do try that.
And we have a question from Samantha Owen Kendall. She's asked about what type of posts will notify clients that they've posted. So what will do like a notification to tell people that salon has posted something?
Okay, so there is a bit of there is something going on with Facebook at the moment where it does, give. I've been seeing, at least, that I'm getting notifications from pages. It takes ones where they're engaging with you already. So you need to be looking at things and ways that you can get them to engage to begin with, and they'll become, you might have seen a lot of pages that have top fans. I think it's these kind of people where Facebook is reaching out and saying, hey, did you know that they've posted something? The other thing that you can do, if you are doing videos, if you're putting them on YouTube, make certain that you're telling people to hit this notification bell. It's the big one that everybody, if you watch any YouTube video, the YouTuber these days are telling you, make certain you subscribe, make sure certain you hit the notification bell. That's the one. Twitter as well. You need the engagement, because a lot of people are stuck on the top tweets timeline, where it's recommending popular tweets since they last logged in first. So you need to be kind of building up a good kind of engagement to begin with, so that you'll appear there more regularly.
And Isabella Miala has asked a question. She said, I work in a hotel spa. do you think we should keep posting stuff? I mean, like treatment pictures, having stories and all this, or do you think we should wait until we reopen the hotel?
So if you've got a good amount of them, I would definitely say keep posting them. And I think that you can be creative. Say, you know, this is what we've got. Think about what you want to book when we're back open. I don't think that we can put everything on hold. And I think that if you do have the content to mix in with that, then I would say, keep a mix going. But I would definitely say do it. I know a lot of, on Instagram, for example, I'm seeing a lot of the nail artists are doing demos on themselves. And that's great because, you know, it's still keeping you, it's making certain that people still know you're there and that you will be there when we're back open. I think that there may have been sort of towards the beginning of last week when obviously there was a lot of confusion and people weren't certain what was open, what wasn't. I think that might have been a time when maybe it wasn't the best time to put it because there was so much going on. But now I think that things have calmed down. We need to sort of have a bit of normality at this time. So I think having your usual content there is also nice.
And obviously the platforms change so much, their algorithms and how much they recommend that you should post. At the moment, given the coronavirus situation with people being at home, how often do you recommend that beauty businesses should be posting on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter?
So it's difficult to say because obviously we are still so new into this. Generally, I would say keep trying to post at least once a day on each platform, but I know that you're going to start having issues with content. You know, people won't be able to put the same things up as they were. So what I would say is you can start reducing them a little bit. Maybe just look at what the best times are for your business using the analytics though. So if you are only able to do it once every other day, you know, that is okay, but just look at what is the peak time for you on those days. Otherwise, if you are able to post more and you've got a lot of things that you can do in your home or wherever you are, you're based, then, you know, keep putting it out there. Don't overload your social media. Never do that. Always try and keep it's a maximum of 2 Instagram posts a day, we say. And usually it's about 1 or 2 on Facebook. Twitter, you can kind of be a bit more radical with. You can post a lot more on that. But just make certain you're not spamming it. But yeah, I would say if you are able to keep on posting as you were, keep doing the same numbers. There might be some more data, you know, in a couple of weeks or in a month's time that has a bit more info about what has been working and what has changed so to this space as well.
Brenda Kingswood would love to know, what do you think about paying to boost posts?
Okay, so it does work if you do it correctly. And that is the simple fact. The Facebook algorithm, for example, these days it's about 1% of the people that follow you actually see your post. And there are ways you can boost that naturally. So you can, you know, encourage people to share, or you can do video. That tends to get you a little bit more, but we're talking really small numbers these days. If you are going to boost a post, just be aware that it's not going to work every single time and that there might be times where it doesn't. And that does put people off. And I understand there is a financial outlay, and I know a lot of people are concerned about finances at a time like this. Just think about what you're doing and think about what audience you're targeting. You can tell it, if you're on Facebook, you can be very specific about who it targets and what it reaches. So I would always make certain that if you don't want to just hit everybody, choose people that like your page already, and you already know that they know what your business is. You're just helping people that want to see your post to see it. Start with smaller budgets. Don't go all in with £100 on one post because it might not necessarily work. But yeah, I would say keep trying, but just be very specific about what you're doing. I think there may be an article that I wrote on the PB website about Facebook. So I definitely have one in one of my social surgery columns. So if you have back issues, it will be there. It is available on Issue. Yeah, a bit of self-promo.
Yeah, we'll dig that out and we'll put that online for you guys to have a look. And Chris, one last question from Heather is she would love to know how to get local followers for her profile and how can she turn them into clients at the moment?
Okay, so one thing that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to is the local groups options that are on Facebook. So obviously with Facebook, you can see sort of like your marketplace, but have a look at other, groups that are around that or pages, and maybe don't spam. Obviously, a lot of these things will be like, don't post about business, but you can sort of mention that you have a business link to your page, maybe. Play around and see what you can do, but have a look, do some research about what people are talking on in that area. If people are asking, go on Google. Another great tool, actually, and it's one that I don't see a lot of people talk about, is Reddit. So a lot of local places in the UK have local subreddits, they're called.
Sorry, Chris, we just lost your signal a bit there. Chris, oh, sorry, your signal's just gone a little bit. You couldn't just repeat that last bit about the place that you said is another good place to look?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. A little bit blurry, but can hear you.
Okay, so Reddit is another one. So that is, it's an online sort of like newsletter board, I guess you would call it. And there are lots of local groups that you can join, pages. It's not one that I would immediately recommend. I would definitely say look at your Facebook first. If you are struggling for ideas, have a look on there. You can post on there. In terms of clients, when we're back open, think about what offers you can encourage people to buy gift cards, show off what kind of treatments and what kind of great service you want. I think the main thing is personality. So show off what your personality is, because people who don't know who you are will definitely want to have that kind of idea about, this is how I'm going in, this is how I'm going to see when I go in there. So it kind of puts them at ease. It encourages people to try something new because they feel a bit more safe, I guess, when you know somebody's personality beforehand.
Chris, that was absolutely brilliant. That's all we have time for on the question front. But if you do have any more questions for Chris, please do contact us via one of our social media channels and we will make sure to come back to you. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time, Chris. I know everyone's really enjoyed it and we've all learned a lot. I always learn something new from when you do your talks. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you on here again soon.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Bye. See you later.
Bye. Bye.